here for Tony Schiavone. I am tripping out, geeking out. Tony, I have twin daughters. They're 4, and they also are geeking out. They're like, Tony Schiavone. Like, okay, cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, am I the only lady? Gentlemen, Tony Schiavone is in our midst. This is so cool. So glad to have you. Eric's my favorite. Disclaimer, have to say it because I messed up and did say it last time. But this is a great honor. So much fun. Glad to have you guys. We are playing Tic-Tac Tony over here. Let me show you over here. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right. Tic-Tac Tony. This is going to be fun, okay? So what I want you to do when it's your turn to ask a question, you will also get to choose your square. We are X's, the top guys, and the My Push members are X's. I have some fun placeholders for Tony. And this will be fun. So if you end up finishing the game and defeating Tony Schiavone, you will win a prize, as Evan was discussing. And it'll be a lot of fun. So I see some people over here in the chat letting us know that they have questions for Tony. So let's go ahead and get those started. Tony, are you ready?
I'm ready, Lauren. Go ahead.
He just called me by name. Tony Schiavone just said my name. Okay, sorry. All right, Genovius. Good to see you today, sir. Please choose a square on the board, and we'll play Tic-Tac Tony.
Let's see.
Genovius, you're muted.
There you go.
Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me?
I hear ya.
Okay, sorry.
What's it gonna be?
I'm gonna do the top right.
I don't know left from right, so they're numbered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I somehow can't see the board actually. Put 3. I'll pick
3.
Number 3. All right, there's Genovius. All right, what's your question?
Hey Tony, how you doing?
Hey,
man? I'm a big fan of yours. You were.
Thanks, buddy.
You were the voice. No problem. You were the voice of wrestling. I had a quick question. Man, I'm Bret Hart's book, and I listen to Eric Bischoff a lot, and I know that you can give some different intake on this one, but I want to know, was Bret Hart really that miserable in WCW when he left WWE?
Well, it appeared to me that he was, and I say that I didn't really talk to him that much. I kind of when Bret Hart arrived in WCW, Denovius, we were kind of like on the way down. At least we were past our glory days, right? So I was kind of a miserable son of a bitch, and I didn't really talk to many people, and I never had much communication with Bret. Bret was not backstage what you would call an outspoken, overly friendly guy,
right?
And so I didn't have, but it appeared to me that he was very unhappy there. And then I don't know how many of you went to the StarCast that he did with Sean Mooney, the StarCast panel that he did. I guess it was the one in Vegas. And if you saw that on Fight TV, or if you were there live, you realized, man, he was pretty miserable. At least he came across that way. So yeah, it seemed like to me that, look, if you came from and I was one of those guys that did this, but I did it very, very early. If you came from the WWE, back then it was WWF, to WCW, and you saw the difference in the promotions and how the promotions were run and how professionally they were run, it was quite a culture shock. And a lot of people didn't handle it the right way. Mean Gene didn't handle it the right way. When he first started, he was miserable as hell when he got here. And I told Gene, I said, listen, when you come here, you got to realize this is not the polished professional operation that you were used to up in Stamford, Connecticut. So I think Bret Hart had some of that as well. And so that's why I kind of think he did come across as miserable to me.
Gotcha. All right, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Tony.
Hey, thanks for being with us, buddy. Thank you, man.
No problem. All right.
Thanks, Genovius. All right, Tony, you got to choose a square up here. And first, let me show you. We're X's, the top guys and the My Push guys. And I have to tell you, Tony, obviously we're in the presence of greatness because we're hanging out with you. But I've been hanging out with the top guys for a little while. They're pretty cool too. The jury is still out a little bit on the My Push crew. I don't know them that well, but I'm sure they're cool. So this guy needs a place on the board. Where's he going? Did I just get a laugh out of Tony Schiavone?
Who comes up with this
I
stuff?
laugh at you every week.
Oh, good.
I got 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Am I supposed to decide where to put that?
Yes.
Oh, it goes in the middle.
Oh,
Title of
there
your
he
sex
is.
tape.
I love it. All right.
Okay.
We got to defeat Tony Schiavone at Tic-Tac Tony, guys.
Okay.
Okay. Up next, Joshua Weekly. Tell me where I'm putting your X, and then hit us with a question.
I'll go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 7.
Number 7. And don't wait for me. You go right ahead.
Oh, okay. Hey, Tony, how you doing, buddy?
Joshua, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. Hey, before I get to my question, man, this is just unreal to me, talking to you. I've been watching you since I was 6 years old in 1988. And, you and Jim Ross were the voice of my childhood and all the way through middle school into high school, just, every Monday night, Nitro and Raw. I'm almost in tears right now talking to you. Sorry, buddy. I was actually at the first Dynamite in Washington, D.C. I went with my girlfriend, and, I told her, I said, I'm going to get emotional during this show because it's a little nostalgic for me. And I told her, I said, the biggest emotion I'm probably going to have is when Tony and Jim Ross come out. And when Justin Roberts introduced you guys, I fucking lost it. It's just thank you so much, Tony, for everything you've done. And you're in your rightful place where you should be, calling wrestling again. I just want to let you know that. And I just love Dynamite. It's number one to me, and everything you're doing there, just you and Jim, I just love it to death.
Well, thank you. Let me respond to that, Joshua. I appreciate you saying that. Sometimes it takes me aback that people get emotional about what we did in the past. I feel that I was just a member of a team that brings back your childhood. Heenan was part of that. Tenay was part of that. Lee Marshall was part of that. Eric Bischoff obviously was a big part of that, and everybody played a part in that. And I got the same kind of feeling you did when I walked out with JR in Washington back in October 2nd, because it had been so long since I'd worked with him. And now I was finally getting a chance to work with him. Didn't get really a chance to work with Jim, obviously during what maybe people consider our prime, and I get that. But as long as we can, I really feel this, and I get this all the time. And I got some friends on here that I know very well. I know Rajiv, who's here with us, and we always see him. And Henry Evingham is here. Where's Mike? Mike Kolb is here with the Cubs hat. A lot of guys. Antonio is here, and if I miss some of you, some of the guys I know, and I hear this all the time, and it blows me away. And people always say, "Oh God, you're the voice of my childhood. I hope you don't mind me saying that," and I don't mind it. It reminds me two things. It makes me happy that I was able to bring a part of joy to your life back then, and hopefully do now. And it also reminds me how fucking old I am too. So I don't mind that either. So
it reminds me how old I am too. So
okay.
I'm almost 39. So
God, you don't look a day over 38. Gee, okay. So go ahead, Joshua. What do you got for me, buddy?
I got a question. A two-part question. What was your favorite match or event that you've ever called? And my second question is, I'm going to play hypotheticals here. If you would have never gone back to WCW and you would have stayed in WWE and never left in 2001, what's one superstar or wrestler or match that you wish you could have actually worked with and called a match for in hindsight 2020?
Well, I wish, first of all, it's those of you who know me and follow the podcast know I've made this known, and it's still not known out there. The most memorable match that I've ever called was in 1989 at Madison Square Garden, when I did the MSG Network with Lord Alfred Hayes. I did the play-by-play, he did the color, and it was the whole card with the main event being Hogan and Big Boss Man in the cage. And they did the big spot, the superplex off the cage. He only did that twice. They did it at Madison Square Garden And then they did it on Saturday night's main event later. They would only do that spot twice. Then that night, or after it was over, it was an afternoon show on the MSN. And then after our Madison MSG network. Then afterwards, we flew in an airplane. I can't remember if it was a private plane or a charter or whatever. We flew to Boston and did the show in the Boston Garden and did basically the same card for the New England Sports Network. I had come from Jim Crockett Promotions, which was as mom and pop and small time as you can get, even though we did have a show on TBS. And working in Madison Square Garden was a big deal for anybody. And that was, to me, the most memorable day I had. Now, fast forward, I'm going to tell you that, and this is probably, many of you may think this is Tony Schiavone shilling, but I'm telling you the truth. I really, really will never forget the tag team match the Bucks had with Omega and Page at Revolution. That was spectacular. There comes a moment in a match as a fan, as an announcer, and especially an announcer, when all of a sudden you realize, man, we're in the middle of something special here. And that feeling happened to me a couple of times when I was calling that match. Plus, with my role in AEW now, the pressure's not on for me to sell everything. I can just kind of lay back and just add things in. So it's a little bit easier now than it used to be as far as an announcer is concerned. But one match that I always think I would love to have called, and still to me, thanks to Conrad and thanks to all this ad-free shows and thanks to our Patreon channel, What Happened When, the one match I would love to have called would have been The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 25, because that is like, to me, and I didn't see it when it happened because I didn't watch it. And Conrad and I were watching it. And again, I had one of those feelings like, man, I'm in the midst of something great here. And obviously, I don't think I would have done the job JR did for it or whomever did it at that time. I'm not so sure because we had the sound down just watching it. But that would be the one match I would have loved to have called.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. And thank you so much again for everything you're doing on Dynamite. You and Jim Ross are where you should be. And just keep doing it, man. And thank you so much for everything. And thank you, Lauren.
Thanks, Joshua. Appreciate you, buddy.
Absolutely. Tony, you're going to hear a lot of that. The guys here are just so appreciative of everyone taking their time to hang out with us. So just get ready. Brace yourself. You're going to be.
That's okay, because here at the house, Lois always says, "You again? What the hell?" So
I have a husband too. I know how it is.
Okay.
Next, well, first, Tony, let me show you your next move here on the board.
Okay.
I love this one. I told you I got the 4-year-old girls. They now officially want best friend Schiavone. Where is he going?
He's going down right, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, number 9.
Are my numbers not big enough, or are you guys just old and blind? Don't know.
Oh, by the way, Lauren, the real one is right here. Bug.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. He hangs out with me all the time.
It's fine. My dog hates me too. She's somewhere. But
my dog loves me. He just
hates us.
Yeah, he's watching my back. He's waiting for Lois to come in to bite her ass. And
I love it. All right, Eric Witt, where is your ex going? And then I need to hear your question for Tony Schiavone.
I'm going to have to go number 1. I'm going to have to cock block Tony like Lois has been doing for the better part of a few decades.
I love it.
You're not kidding.
How you doing, Tony?
I'm doing fine, Eric. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. I didn't really grow up a huge wrestling fan. It wasn't until I was in the 8th grade and a kid moved up from Georgia. I live up here in Montana, and I had a kid come in from Georgia in my class, and he said, "Hey, do you watch WCW?" And I'm like, "I don't know what that is." And he says, "Well, you got to tune into TNT tonight. You have to watch it." And I said, "Okay, I'll watch it." And it was the Go Home Nitro before Starrcade 97. So it was kind of a hot time. And, going back and listening to the podcasts and stuff, I've kind of gotten more nostalgic. And I kind of wish I'd have watched it back, 96, 97, when it was the hot time when you guys were really on fire. But thanks to a kid that moved out here from Georgia, I became a WCW guy and listening to you every week. And now it's so nice to hear you again every week on Dynamite. It's a great deal, and we're just glad to have you back on the air.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you saying that. It's kind of surreal at times that I'm still doing this, but I'm really so sometimes I think if I would have taken that job with the WWE, where I'd be right now, which is probably unemployed. But I made a good decision, and we've got, wrestling as all of you know, because you follow it and you followed it back in the day, has certainly had its political problems behind the scenes, bigger than WCW did. Well, we are avoiding that right now in AEW, and it's really refreshing. Now, I say right now because to me, wrestling's wrestling, and there's always going to be some problems. There's always going to be people who don't want to do this, don't want to do that. But it's really a good time. It really is to be in WCW or to be in AEW right now. And we got great leadership, we got great kids, and we're all just really enjoying each other. Could change, next year this time, unless we're all dead. Next year this time we could hate each other. But right now we're enjoying what we're doing. So I appreciate all the comments. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. And my question is, like I said, I'm from Montana. There was a tour you guys did through here in 2000. You did a Nitro in Billings, and you did a Thunder in Bozeman. Do you have any memories of that trip at all coming up to Montana? I mean, I'm sure Bischoff probably had a little bit to do with that since it's, right in his back doorstep being, just not that far from Cody. Do you have any memories of being up here in that Montana tour?
I do. I remember. I'm trying to think that I remember thinking, and this may sound stupid. I remember thinking, what in the hell am I doing in Montana? Okay. Because I'd never been there before. And I kind of like, visiting every, and I just remember, driving on the interstate because I was always a driver. And I remember looking up and seeing lights look like on the edge of a mountain or something. And I remember that was a pretty spectacular look. As far as the shows are concerned, I don't remember a damn thing about those shows.
But the one thing that pissed me off the most about it is, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks before that was the infamous, the show you guys are about to cover, or just covered, where Sting got lit on fire and thrown off the top of the Tron, and he was injured for a while. And I was huge Sting mark. I love Sting. I mean, I still love him to this day.
Right.
So I was all excited, hey, here comes Nitro and Thunder to Montana. I'm going to get to see Sting live, and he wasn't there.
Right.
So
right.
That was a bummer, but
well,
I mean, at least you guys came, and it was, you guys came and you did a couple house shows too. I did the whole tour. I went to the Nitro, went to the Thunder, went to the house shows, and it was just nice to actually see you guys come up this way because we don't get a whole lot of that up here. We're kind of in the boonies around these parts. So
yeah, I get that. And Eric, what dragged you away from Georgia to go to Montana?
No, it was actually one of my friends that I met in school that he moved up here from Georgia, that he was the one that introduced me to WCW. He was a huge wrestling fan, and he's the one that he said, hey, you got to watch TNT tonight. You got to watch this. It's really cool. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll check it out. And from that day on, I was hooked on WCW. And then when it went under, I kind of went over to the other side and watched it. But I mean, the 98 run was great. And then, like we all know, it was kind of a, toilet with the sinking water. It was kind of, we know how that went, but I'm just, I'm glad to see you're back on the air. We all missed you, and we're glad you're back in wrestling. And thanks to Conrad, we get to hear you every week on the podcast and on Dynamite. And I think we can all say we appreciate that you're back.
Eric, thank you. It's very kind of you to say. I'm very excited about being back, and I hope you keep watching what we're doing. And I hope you'll stay with us on ad-free shows. I hope everybody has enjoyed the JR on the road things that we're doing. Just to let you know, the process we do on this is that I had put, I think Conrad had said something to me about, well, you and JR driving back and forth between Atlanta and Jacksonville, you probably should put some cameras in. So I have a GoPro, and I had Steve of DDP Yoga lend me one of his GoPros, and I taped it back and forth, and we sent it to Chris McDonald, and he edits it together, and then it comes to me, and I look at it and I approve it, and then I send it to JR, and he looks at it and he likes it or doesn't like it, and everything that Chris McDonald has put together he likes, and we still probably have a lot more in the can that we're going to have out there, so it's fun. It really is, and I hope you're enjoying that.
Yeah, I think Silva told me there was at least 3 or 4 more episodes in the can.
Well, Evan, Silva's an idiot. You do know that.
Yeah. Okay. So I took it with a grain of salt, but
yeah, right.
But yeah, no, that's probably one of our most revered pieces of content that we've
Well, good.
put up. So,
Good.
yeah, thank you for doing that.
No problem.
Keep it coming, Tony. We love it. And by the way, you got to choose your next spot. Let me show you your icon for this one. I call this guy Balls in the Mouth, Schiavone.
Balls in the Mouth, Schiavone.
I got to tell you too, Tony, I live in Gwinnett County, but I think I just missed you with the Braves, the Gwinnett Braves, or the Stripers, whatever they are.
Right.
I moved here like 3 years ago, so just missed you. Bummed about it. But where are you going?
I'm going right above Bug's head there, right in number 6. There you go.
There he is.
All right.
Next up, I got to put an X down, and we're going to get a question from Frank Bruno.
Hey.
Hey, Frank. Where's your X going?
So I can't see the board. So can I
It's
just?
its own chat. Let me tell you your options. You want 4 or 2 to win the game?
Yeah, 2. Let's go 2.
All right. Frank Bruno, our first winner. And Tony will take your question.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, Tony. I'm a little starstruck, so I'm sorry. So you certainly, I'm going to just share my sentiment like everybody else has, that you were the voice of my childhood, but kind of in reverse to everybody else. And the fact that I was always a WWF guy.
Sure.
And I kind of caught on to WCW back when Nitro hit. So I kind of lost you for a while, got you back. For Christ's sakes, I lost you again, and now you're back again. So I'm really happy about that. So
Thank you.
one of my, to this day, it's, I always like to watch old events before new events. So, for instance, if it's SummerSlam time, I'll watch an old SummerSlam. And one that I always go to rewatch before SummerSlam is 1989. It is by far one of my favorite events ever. I loved Beefcake, I loved Hogan, but what I loved was you calling that event with Jesse Ventura. So what I wanted to ask you, and this is going to sound weird, but I'm really curious what he was like to work with.
Jesse.
Yeah.
Jesse was wonderful to work with.
Because Eric says he was a pain in the ass, so I was just curious.
Eric had a different Eric had a different relationship with him than I did.
Okay.
See, Jesse was signed by Kip Fry to come in and was signed to this big contract, making more money than all of us announcers, including JR. And JR has been very, he's been very open about it, that he resented Jesse back in that time because Jesse was making more money than him. But Jesse was a big star. I mean, he was doing Saturday night's main event. So, I mean, I knew he was a big star. So I approached Jesse as a big star, and I approached Jesse as being thrilled to work with him. And that's a good way to really start out a good relationship, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And so he was always good to me. And we were, just like I did with the other guys, I ended up driving Jesse around a lot of the towns too. Now, when Eric took over, if you'll recall, if you go back to watch Bash at the Beach 1994, where Hogan beats Flair for the world title.
Yeah, I've seen that event. Yeah.
Right. You'll see that Jesse did some of the matches. Heenan did some of the matches. Jesse was kind of he and Eric were on the outs at that time, and you could just hear it in Jesse's commentary. So, yeah, Eric, when you're running the business and signing contracts and being in talent relations, your relationship is different with the people you work with than I was. I love working with Jesse. Telling you, Frank, back when that SummerSlam,
yeah,
I've often been very, very, I don't know if proud is the right word, maybe proud of the fact that I've never really been nervous, ever. Even back when I made the transition from doing minor league baseball to doing TV on TBS back in '85, I was never really nervous. It just didn't register with me. But that night, I was nervous because I was working with Jesse and I was doing SummerSlam, and we were in New Jersey and the crowd was hot. Yeah. And it was, it was an angle they had going on with, No Holds Barred. That shit. I mean, that movie. Which, by the way, they killed somebody at the end of the movie. He murdered somebody at the end of the movie. He killed 2 people. So anyway, we watched that not too long ago. But anyway, I was really nervous, and that I got a chance to work with him then. And if you'll recall, I worked with him at Royal Rumble 1990.
Yeah, that's another one of my favorites.
Right, right. And the unusual story about that was I had kind of fallen out of favor with Vince McMahon. He didn't, for some reason, he used me at SummerSlam, and then he didn't like my work. And then, of course, the next pay-per-view was Survivor Series, and Gorilla Monsoon did that. And the next one was Royal Rumble. That's when they had just 4, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
During the year. So the next one was going to be in January in Royal Rumble. And it was well known that it was going to be Vince doing the commentary, Jesse. And so we all get to Orlando, the O Arena that time, and we get there early, and as always, and we're waiting on Vince. And Vince was down in Boca with his buddies and his family, and they were having a great weekend, a great time. They got there late, and he came in the meeting and sat down and did like a big exhale. Never will forget it. He said, man, I just don't feel like doing this broadcast. He looked at me, he said, you got your tux? I went, yes, sir, I do. And that's how I found out I was going to do the Royal Rumble that day. I got there not thinking I was going to do it. So
I'm glad that happened, because
Yeah.
I have to say that your intensity when Hogan and Warrior meet for the first time made that damn match, made that call. I mean, to this day, then Jesse goes, whoa, what a matchup this is going to be. Like,
Yeah.
it just, I'm telling you, I'm sorry.
Well, I appreciate you saying this. I like to think that even though that, and all of you know this, even though that at the end of WCW, I was way over the top shilling greatest night in the history and bullshit. I'd like to think that because I was such a passionate wrestling fan, my days in high school and college, that it helped me, and it helped JR too, because he was a big wrestling fan. It helped me in my craft because my enthusiasm, I like to think, is genuine. I was really excited to see Hogan and the Warrior, face to face. And I was really excited. I was really excited of Hogan and Goldberg and some other big matches that I've called. My excitement is pretty genuine, and so I like to think it comes across that way.
Well, I appreciate it very much, and
Right, Frank.
I love watching on AEW now. So just thanks for being awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you, buddy. I appreciate you saying that.
Thank you.
Frank Bruno, you're pretty awesome, except for the Tennessee Titans stuff. I caught you on Twitter the other day talking to me about it. Can you guys see the board better now?
Lauren, you got to tighten up, remember.
Boo. Rise up, babe. All right. Everybody sees the board now. Is this better for you guys?
It looks great, Lauren. To me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
It may be the best board in the history of our great sport, to be honest.
Oh
with
my
you.
goodness. Look, it's
Okay.
irritating anyone with OCD, but it works for us, right?
Right.
Okay, Tony,
Yes.
you get the first move this time. Where are you going? Oh, first of all, let me show you who you are. You're going to be Starbucks Schiavone.
Oh, how about that, Schiavone Coffee?
I love this one.
So does my girl Britt. I'm going to go upper left.
I don't know left and right. Are you 1 or 3?
Oh, I'm sorry. You don't know left or right? Okay. Number 1.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, up next, I need an X, Alan Jordan, and then I need a question for Mr. Schiavone. Where are you going with your X?
Let's go number 5.
All
And
right.
Tony, as everyone said, thank you. It's a pleasure and an honor to get to talk to you.
Thanks, Alan.
So I was going to ask you your favorite MLB ballpark with baseball starting back up, but now I'm kind of lost in the Batcave. So what's your favorite piece of memorabilia that you have in the Batcave? I'm a big superhero comic book fan, so I'm just kind of lost in the cave now, and I want to know what's your favorite piece of memorabilia that you
Well,
have.
I've got here behind me, there's a Batman lamp, and I've got some statues that I purchased at Comic-Con, things like that. I also got down the stairways here. You can see right there, the stairs go down the back stairs. I've got a lot of photographs that have been signed by Batman artists. So I have a lot of things. I don't think I have one favorite. I'm just kind of collecting stuff. I have a lot of Batman figures. I have a case over here that you can't see to my left. I have a case over here that's full of Batman, just Batman toys. that I collected back when I had an office in WCW. And my son Matt went up to the attic looking for Conrad's belt, and he didn't find it. A 6-man belt, and he said, "I didn't find the belt, but I found all these Batman figures from back in the day in WCW. Do you want me to throw it out? Because I've been throwing out all my WCW stuff. I just trash it." And I said, "No, I want to keep that." So I've got a collection of that over here as well. I have in front of me, you can't see, I've also had some Star Wars things that I collected as well too. I have a downstairs. I have a baseball office downstairs that used to be my office when I was in baseball, and I've got a Mickey Mantle picture that Mickey signed. I watched him sign it not a couple years before he passed away. And I also have I have a Reggie Jackson baseball that Mike Kolb, I don't know if Mike is still here or not, gave me, which is a Reggie Jackson 1973 MVP signed. So I was a big Reggie Jackson guy, so that's kind of like my big. But as far as Major League ballparks are concerned, I went to Old Yankee Stadium many times. Loved that, obviously. I loved Old Shea Stadium. I really did. I was, it was a piece of shit, but I still loved it. But my favorite still was going to Dodger Stadium. I think just seeing a game at Chavez Ravine is unbelievable. It's really, I really enjoyed that. So that's probably my favorite Major League Stadium.
Yeah, that's great. And we're slowly doing the ballpark tour. So we've got about 6 right now. All time is Camden Yards, where I went as a kid growing up. For me, but I live in Cleveland now, so I definitely have a soft spot for Progressive Field. But Tony, thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and it was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, Alan. Thanks, buddy. Go Tribe.
For now.
Alan, I enjoyed that question.
Right. For now is right.
That was a fun question. But Tony, I'm picking my jaw up off the floor that you threw away WCW shit. What are you doing? Have you heard of eBay?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like people would pay a premium for it, not just because it's cool, but it was owned by Tony Schiavone. Come on.
Yeah, hell with it.
I hear that. All right. You're going to love this next one. I'm sure you've seen this guy all over Twitter.
Uh-huh.
WTF Schiavone. Where's he going?
Right. It's going to go it's going to go number 2.
Number 2. There he is. I can't reach. Next up, I got an X for John Hickson. Where's it going, John? Did we lose John Hickson?
John?
Okay, there we go. Sorry. I'm doing it on my iPad this time, so I don't know how to unmute. But I finally did it.
Same.
We are going number 3 to block Tony Schiavone.
Oh, man.
All right. And your question for Mr. Schiavone. Let's hear it.
I want to point out, Top Guy Denovius and I are good friends, so I want to throw him under the bus real quick. When he says he's a big fan of you, Tony, he has been lobbying for you to be back in wrestling for 20 years. Every time something opens up, he goes, what would be great if Tony Schiavone was back? You know what we need to hear? Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone, Tony Schiavone. We grew up watching WWE, but he was huge Schiavone fan. Then you join AEW, and I'm watching every Wednesday, and he's watching NXT, and he doesn't even use those 3 letters. So, I just had to make sure I threw him under the bus. It's a huge honor. It's a huge honor to talk to you.
Thanks,
John. I have a lot of questions, so I'll keep it to 10. No, just kidding.
Go ahead.
The first one I want to ask you is on the road. You talked about how you've been in your house for 30 years,
right?
And being in a industry like you are, and that there is no sayings. You're being on the radio, you're being in wrestling, you're being a sports announcer. Do you get to sit back and smell the roses that you've got to be so lucky to be in a house for 30 years where you didn't have to travel looking for job for job for job, that you got to stay in something that you love, but, and do, with what you love, but get stability in life with your kids and your wife?
Yeah, man, John, that's a great question. At this moment in my life, I've never been so lucky in my life right now. And on many reasons. First of all, we've been, Lois and I've been married 39 years, and I give her a hard time, which is well deserved, but you're not going to be married 39 years unless you really work at being married 39 years and you put some effort into it. And that's kind of what I've always done with everything that I've done. I've put effort into it. My job, my marriage, being a father, having a house. When I bought this house in 1989, or 1990, when we moved here from Connecticut, I bought this house to raise 5 kids in, and I love this house. I didn't buy it for an investment, even though when it's all said and done, I'm going to make a lot of money on this house based on being in it 30 years and the price of real estate here in Atlanta. But there's not a day goes by that I don't realize that I've been very, very fortunate in a lot of things. For instance, had I not taken a job with Tony Khan, and had I taken a job which I was kind of offered with the WWE, then I don't think I'd be working right now. If I'm not taking a job with Tony Khan, I would be employed. My only stream of income would have been the Gwinnett Braves right now, and they're not playing. So I would have had no income at this time, with the exception of the podcast and some of the part-time work I do in the radio station. When WCW went down in 2000, I got an 18-month severance pay, which was tremendous. I got my paycheck for 18 months, and also got medical and dental insurance. The same day WCW went down, I got a job with WSB Radio. That led to the Braves. That led to the Georgia Bulldogs. So I knew that our money in 2001, I should say, was going to go down. So I made it a point to work hard and keep the house payments up and not lose this house. So now that we've settled back into where I'm making a good living again and can afford things, it's a sense of pride for me that I was able to stay in the house. So it's been quite a journey. It really has, especially between 2001 and 2017. It's been quite a journey, but I'm very proud that we were able to stay in this house. My wife would move out of this house in a moment. She doesn't like it here, but actually she can move out anytime. But no, I'm kidding. But yeah, I take great pride in I was able to survive because it wasn't easy. I mean, yeah, I did work at Starbucks, and I did work at WSB, and I did work. I did some web work, and I did some. I did a lot of crazy things, but it was all just trying to keep things, afloat. Sense of pride.
Is there something in you that had you just do that to keep it going? I mean, besides the love of your wife and kids to be stable, I mean, you weren't prideful to say, I'll go work at Starbucks just to make sure I can pay the mortgage. Is there something that you have deep down? It's a good trait, the great trait that you could share with the rest of us to say, when the going gets tough, this is what I use to push forward.
Yeah, there's something, I don't know if my mom or my dad said this many years ago, and my mom or dad, very old school. My dad was 50 when he had me. My mom was 41. So, wow. So they were really old school. And I was born in 1957. So you can see they were born like the first part of the decade. And one of them told me, I don't know if it was mom or dad, they said, work hard because most people don't. And I really believe that. I believe that in this grand scheme of the world, most people don't work hard. So if you work hard, you are going to get ahead. And people have always asked me, they say, how did you get into the business? I outworked everybody. I'll tell you this other story too. When I first wanted to be an announcer, it's all I've ever wanted to do. I was working part-time at a radio station, while going to college. And the radio station fired its janitor one week, and a memo was sent around that until we find a new janitor, please clean up the studio. Well, no one else would clean up the studio but me. And the boss came to me one day and he said, I know that you're the only one cleaning up the studio. And he said, you keep working like that, you keep having that great attitude, then you're going to go far. I didn't know what going far what meant, and I don't know if I've gone as far as I wanted to go. I had planned to go because I had planned to be a Major League Baseball announcer, but I don't mind doing the work. I don't mind doing the work. I didn't mind scrubbing floors for Starbucks when I had to, or cleaning out the drain. And I didn't mind, I don't mind setting up and taking down equipment. If you feel that a job is beneath you, then you're never going to get ahead. I like to try to lead by example when I work. So that's part of me.
Thank you, Tony. Last one, I promise. I won't lobby the rest. F. Mary Kill, Deborah McMichael,
Okay.
Francine,
Okay.
or Whitney Wright.
Okay. Well, okay. I would marry Francine. Unfortunately, I have to kill Whitney, because if I didn't, then I would be chasing her the rest of my life. It would be my own sanity. Okay?
I totally understand.
So
Tony.
the other one would be Deborah. Yeah.
Thank you for your time, Tony.
Jesus.
These guys, you got a fun crowd, Tony.
Yeah, boy.
I love it. Lots of fun. All right, Tony, let's see who we got here.
We're going to go with number 7.
Number 7. My girls love this one too. Baby Blondie Schiavone.
Wow,
they think you're cute.
That was sun in.
Sun in. All right, Rajiv, you're up next with the X and the question, please.
I'll go with 4 for the X.
There he is.
It's Tony Schiavone.
Rajiv from California. What's up, buddy?
I'm doing well, Tony. How are you?
Doing fine, man.
Long time no see.
Yeah, I know.
I have it documented that Lois
God.
last touched you during the What Happened When chat on June 26th. Is that still current?
When she came over and put her hands on my shoulders. No, that's not true. I said something smart ass to her today. Bent over to pick up Pip's dish, and she kicked me right in the ass.
Okay, so now we got a new day, July 6th.
That's right. And I guess that qualifies as a touch. To the ass, right?
Right. So thank you for doing this. I know that I'm on What Happened When also, and
sure.
I see you all the time, but it's still every time an honor to talk to you anytime I get a chance to. So thank you.
Thanks, buddy. What are you playing on? What are you playing on PlayStation now?
I'm doing MLB The Show since there hasn't been any baseball. That's kind of been my fix.
Yeah.
Because I can't stay up till 2:30 to watch Korean baseball as much as I love baseball.
Right.
So,
right.
But yeah, and then I'm doing. I haven't gotten into Red Dead yet, but you play it all. So
yeah, I stayed up to 3:30 yesterday morning playing that sucker.
Oof.
And I'm thinking I'm going through Red Dead Redemption 2. If any of you guys that are in PlayStation 4. And I'm going through it like I'm playing it, and I look at my watch, and it's like 3:15, and the first thing comes to my mind is I'm too fucking old to do this shit. This is for you kids to stay up all night and do it. But I'm really into it, man. I really love Arthur Morgan, man.
And it keeps your mind going too, so that's always a good thing because you got to try to figure out what you're doing next. So
right,
keeps you sharp.
Yep.
So my question for you, it's not a wrestling question, but did you know, before your kids were born, did you know what the gender of each of them was going to be before Lois gave birth to them? And what was your reaction to hearing that you were going to have twins? Because a lot of people, it would freak them out to know I'm about to have 2 of me.
Yeah, that's a great story. The twins are a great story. We did not know the sex of the children because I just didn't want to know. I guess old school 80s, I guess everybody does it now, right? Everybody knows but we didn't want to know. It was kind of a nice surprise. When we had 3 children, and I remember Lois gave birth to Chris in November of '85. And I remember it was a very difficult birth, long labor, very difficult birth. And I remember her saying, "I don't want another kid." And I said, "You got it." But of course, she couldn't stay off of me back in the day. So we got pregnant again. I remember thinking, "Oh shit!" And I remember saying to her, and she can echo the story. I remember saying to her, I remember saying, "Turn around to the side. God, you are so big." I mean, you've had 3, but nothing like this. It was like, way out.
I bet she loved hearing that.
Oh yeah. So, and of course now she's had 3, same doctor in Charlotte, North Carolina. And the doctor was a female, her OBGYN or whatever they call them, was a female. And she would go in and they would sit down and they would just bullshit for like an hour. And I said, "Has your doctor ever checked to see if you were having twins?" And she said, "Yeah." She said, "Doesn't think it. They'll need to do an ultrasound." And I'm telling you it had to be 7 months in where she measured Lois, finally did something during the doctor's appointment instead of sitting there and bullshit with each other, measured her and said, "Oh my God." And they did an ultrasound. They say, "We see 2 in here." And I never will forget, I was at the kitchen, in the kitchen at the refrigerator. Lois said, we had a house in Charlotte. She says, "I got something to tell you." And I went, "What?" She says, "It's twins." And I went, "Oh shit." And she ran crying into the bedroom, and I ran in after her and told her, "I'm sorry, just a reaction." In reality, if you're going to have 4, what's another one? 5, right? And fast forward to here in 2020, the twins, Tim and John Michael, have been 2/5 of my kids, but 95% of my problems. So I should have stopped right there. I'm kidding.
So when she couldn't stay off you, were you rocking that glorious mustache?
Yeah, I was.
Well, that's what it was. There you go. All right. Thanks for doing this, Tony.
All right, buddy.
Love
Thank
what
you,
you're doing on AEW, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Rajiv. Tony, I love the twin stories. I'm a twin parent too, and they're only 4. So it's nice to hear that I'll survive, even though, I mean, they're 100% of my problem because I don't have other kids. I take that back. My husband is about 80% of the problem, but there you go. That's between us, right? Okay. Tony, I got this guy. I didn't name this one. You need to get a name.
Okay. That's Tony having to take a shit, Schiavone. That list would be, this would be 6, I guess. I got to go 6 unless I
got to be 6 for the block.
Yeah.
Okay. Up next with the X is going to be Aaron W. I'm not even going to try that last name, Aaron. So I hope you know who I'm talking about. Where's Aaron? Come on, unmute.
I think Aaron withdrew.
We may have lost Aaron. All right, bummer. Aaron, sorry to miss you. Andrew Masters, where are we going with this X?
Let's go with number 8.
8. I love it. And your question for Tony Schiavone, please.
Hey, Tony, how you doing?
What's up, Andrew? How you doing, bud?
All righty. This is a quick question for you. Involves probably one of my most favorite famous lines in wrestling.
Yeah.
From Bash at the Beach 96.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan, you can go to hell.
Right.
Did you come up with that straight up, or did someone feed you that line, or how did that come about?
No, I came up with that straight up. That was back in the era when no one fed us anything, because thank God. But I remember, I remember thinking of that line when the trash was coming in the ring and he was cutting such a heel promo. I remember thinking, I was there during Hulkamania, and this has to piss off Hulkamaniacs. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. What the pulse was back then. So I just blurted that out. I really did, and I remember walking the backstage area, and Brian Knobs of the Nasty Boys says, "That was a great line," and I went, "What line are you talking about?" He said, "Hulk Hogan, you can go to hell, straight to hell. We're out of here." I said, "Oh, okay, great." It didn't hit me at that time that it was a great line. I was just, again, like I said earlier, and talking with, I think Frank Bruno earlier, we talked about my enthusiasm for, and again, that was my enthusiasm for what was going on. And so, no, that was not a line, but just to let you know that it is still a very popular line backstage at AEW right now, because both Matt and Nick Jackson, every time Nick Jackson looks at me, he says, "Hulk Hogan," and I say, "You can go straight to hell." So we greet each other like that all the time. So
yeah, I go back and watch that show just to hear that line many times.
yeah, that was off the cuff. That really was. A lot of things I did was off the cuff, and so yeah. Andrew, what's all that behind you? Is that memorabilia?
Yes, that is different autographs I've gotten over the years from conventions.
Oh, very cool, man.
I got to meet the Flair, Arn, Tully, and Barry Windham a couple years ago at a convention,
Wow.
and then
Wow.
the other side's just all different ones.
Wow. How about how fat Arn is? Isn't he a fat turd? Okay. You guys,
Yeah.
you guys do a Zoom chat with Arn. Say, "Hey, we talked to Tony Schiavone. He said you were a fat turd with a head big as a pumpkin." Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
And
Thank you, Tony.
Okay. Thanks, Andrew. Thank you, buddy.
I'm dead. That's so rude. We do have a Zoom call with Arn coming up a week from tonight, guys.
Really? Oh, yeah.
Same
Really?
crew.
Really?
We do.
He doesn't know how to run a computer, that dumbass. So that'll be good.
He has 7 days to figure it out so that we can call him a fat turd with a head as big as a pumpkin.
I've been on I think 3 training calls so far with him and his wife to get set up for next Monday. So fingers crossed.
Oh, okay.
I love that.
That'll be great.
So cute. All right. The last match ended in a draw. I'm going to give that win to Andrew because, I'm sure Tony Schiavone doesn't need any what happened when merchandise. So congratulations, Andrew. You'll be the winner of that one.
All right,
Coach Rosie, you get the first play on this board and your question. Where's the coach?
Did you say me? Yeah. Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Yeah. Hey, Tony. It's shitty to see you tonight. But I had nothing to do, so here I am. I wanted to change it up. No, Tony's a good dude. You guys should think about coming over to Low Key Big Hogs too. But I got a real question tonight. I want to know if have you ever had any color in any situations? You might have said it on the show, but I forgot. I mean, where you bled, whether it was an interview or anything. Maybe I missed the story, but I've never heard of a Tony Schiavone story where you had color in it.
Yeah.
It's good seeing you.
Yeah. Thanks, Coach. Good seeing you too, buddy. Yes, it's a story that when I think back on, it scares the hell out of me. You guys have, most of you guys have probably seen The Dark Side of the Ring. And did you see the one about the Road Warriors that was out? And so we know how Road Warrior Hawk could be. Which is basically out of his mind. But I love Road Warrior Hawk, and I was a friend of his, and he and I were very tight. But when Road Warrior Hawk came to the ring, and this is back in the Crockett days now, when Road Warrior Hawk came to the ring, he was a completely different person. He was like, now, he could have been on something. Odds are he probably was. So for this story, let's just say he was coked out of his mind. I don't know. It could have been, but he was crazy. So I was the ring announcer at the Forum, because back then, and we're talking about the TBS days, when we would go out and go on tour, Jim Crockett would send me as the ring announcer because he thought it was a pretty novel idea. You would see me and David doing the TBS shows. David didn't want to travel, and I didn't mind traveling, so they would send me out as a ring announcer, and I went around many different places. So we went to the Forum in L.A., and the Road Warriors music hit, which was the old Iron Man music. And, we did the ring announcements, not as they're coming to the ring, once they got to the ring. And I remember as they get to the ring, I'm backing into a corner to have them have the center, because that's what you do. You have them have the ring. You don't stand in the middle like an idiot. And I backed into the wrong corner. It just happened to be the same corner that Road Warrior Hawk was going to climb up and do that and stick his tongue out to everybody. And I was standing right in that corner. He just walked right up over top of me. Just boom, boom, boom. And his spikes, one spike gouged me here and one spike gouged me here. And it cut me both places. And so I was bleeding as I'm doing the ring announcing, which I'm very proud of. I'm the first announcer that I know of that did a blade job while doing ring announcing. But as cool as that was, if I think long and hard about it, another inch, he would have put my eye out. And so I was staggering, I was bleeding, and he grabs the ropes. He said, "You're okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'll be fine." And so that was the only time that I've bled doing a wrestling match. So there's your answer, Coach.
Well, appreciate that. And if Lois wants to do a run-in by the end of the show, that sure would give me the feels. See you later.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
That would be a true celebrity sighting. Thanks, Coach. Tony, I gotta use this little icon here. You're gonna love this one.
Okay.
I didn't think about it till after I had made these up, but I might be the only one on ad-free shows who still loves the ads. So what are we calling this guy? This is Tony Just Built a Deck.
Oh yeah, that's because I use Blue Chew and
Hammer time.
Hammer Time. Thank you. And the only good I get out of it at my age now is hammering nails into a deck.
If you guys missed it, be sure to check that out. I guess a couple episodes ago that had me in stitches. Where are we going with this guy, Tony?
We're going to go 3.
3. Good call. Up next, I have the WMD himself, and I got to place our X somewhere. Mr. WMD. Where's it going?
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Where are we putting this X?
Alrighty. How about number 7? Or if that one.
There you go.
Right.
And your question for Tony.
All right, I got a couple quick questions there, Tony.
Sure, bud.
One, pretty freaking cool that I get to meet you. Been watching you since I was literally pooping in diapers, so it's kind of cool.
Very good.
So you're gonna have to excuse me because I'm gonna have to ask a question about WCW in 2000s because
I
was like 6 or 7 when that happened. So, you have any good stories with Scott Hudson and Mark Madden?
With the exception of really enjoying working with them, I do know that Mark Madden. A couple of things. Scott, I do know that we sent, Scott was a federal, and I guess he still is a federal agent in real life. So he could always carry a gun with him and get away with it, which we all thought was really cool. Mark Madden and Diamond Dallas Page had problems because Page didn't like the things that Madden said about him on the air. But in reality, Madden was playing a heel, right? So and Page was a babyface. So come on now, I always thought that was wrong. But there was the first time that we did a Kiss Demon match. I don't know if it ever aired or not. We did a whole match. I think it was just like it may have been a match for Saturday night, or it may have been a match that never aired. It was just me and Madden doing it. I never will forget. I said, "All right, Mark, we are going to call this match just using Kiss lyrics." And that's what we did. We tried, I'm sure we didn't get it, but we hit the Kiss lyric, and how would it, he said, "God of Thunder." And I said, "Yeah, and rock and roll." And then and then we used some from Love Gun, and Mark was pretty cool. I know he's been kind of controversial as a radio announcer, but I really, really enjoyed working with him. And that's one of my favorite memories working with Madden was doing that Kiss match, just using Kiss lyrics back and forth.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really enjoy his Twitter. I
Yeah.
know it's been pretty spicy as of lately, but hey,
Yeah.
that's what I go on Twitter for. And then another question, quick. I've been working in radio since for like 10 or 12 years, and like, how do you, since you've worked in radio for a lot for most of your life, it sounds like, what's a good way to like get yourself promoted or like more noticed? Because I've been working in the same rinky-dink country station for my whole time, and I kind of want to try to, I guess, more than less upgrade.
Right. What have you attempted to do to upgrade?
Well, I've been trying to get better with just trying to talk and whatnot, and I've been pretty persistent with my program director and the general manager. So
yeah. Well, that's a good start. I started by just talking into, because when I started, I was like, damn Southern country, stupid son bitch, talking like that. And
Yeah.
so I just talked into, back then it was a tape recorder, back and forth and listened back and forth till I got to the point where I got better. But you need to probably get in touch with other radio stations and just look at radio back then. And I'm talking about radio in the 70s and 80s, much different than it is now. Okay.
Oh yeah.
It's much more competitive business, but you got to do something. You got to do something to push yourself out. And I would just make contacts with other radio stations and other markets. Are you willing to travel?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what you got to be willing to move. You can't say, I want to do radio, but I don't want to leave. Where you can't do that. You have to be. So I would just go out and, I would flood the market, man. Again, you got to outwork people. You really do. You got to outwork them and try to think of ways that other people, because you're still young, you got your youth. You just think about, just outwork people and try to get ahead. It's not to say it's going to happen, but it did for me. And again, I started the business when it wasn't as competitive as it is now. And, you're probably like me. You hear a lot of people on radio or on TV now, and you go, God, they suck. I can do that, right? So yeah, they really do suck, right? Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of people on TV that suck. Just turn on ESPN anytime. Woo. Okay. But
awesome.
I hope I helped you out. But anyway, good luck to you, buddy.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes, good talking to you. Thanks, man.
Yep.
Thank you. Next, I have Bugsy here making his reappearance. Tony, where's he going?
He's going number 2.
Number 2. All right. And I have an X coming from Buffalash LaRue. Or do I?
Yeah, he's up. He's got a.
All right, I'm unmuted. Geez, I can't see the numbers.
I got 1, 4, 6, 8, and 9.
Go 4.
4.
All right.
Give us a question. Make it a good one.
I'll try. Tony, I know that I'm the reason why WCW went under, because I didn't lose those LBs. But I moved to Buffalo, and now I'm different. So I just have a question for you. You held the mic during some of the best Four Horsemen promos of all time.
Right.
Is there one that sticks out to you as the top one? I mean, my favorite personally was obviously the one where Arn named them. But is there one that sticks out to you as the greatest Four Horsemen promo?
Well, there was a lot of great Four Horsemen promos, and there were so many great Four Horsemen promos that it's kind of hard to really pick one, because I did a lot of Four Horsemen promos that you guys probably never saw, because I did them for local markets in the backstage area of the Crockett's. Most of all of you out there saw the ones that were on TBS. So there was a lot of one that when we just did so many of them. But the my most memorable one, I don't even know. I guess you got to consider the Ric Flair one more than a Horseman. But JJ was with him. Was when Ric Flair made out with a mannequin.
Oh,
okay. That's one that sticks in my mind.
Was that when the mannequin was it was Precious?
Yes, it was. He was going to go on a date. He was going to win a date with Precious. Absolutely.
Right. Who then turned out to be Ronnie Garvin.
Ronnie Garvin, right.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that, and if you go back and you watch that, and you look at my facial expressions, it's like, I mean, I'm looking back like I'm holding a microphone for an idiot here. So that was the one I remember the most. I don't know if it's the most famous one, but there were some great ones. You know, some of the better ones were the ones where Arn and Tully and Flair talked, and Ole talked too. Back in the first incarnation of the Horseman, when Ole Anderson he was such a great talker. And if you go back and I tell you a good would be good if you want to see some great Horseman promos together. Go back and watch World Championship Wrestling leading up to Starrcade '85, The Gathering, where Dusty had the broken leg and they had broken his leg, and they were going to be in a cage against Ric Flair, and the Horsemen were going to do everything. And this may have been pre-Horseman. This may have been before this may have been, I can't remember, but look at some of those.
When they broke his leg or when they broke his arm outside Crockett Studios?
No, when they broke his leg. I think it's
in the cage?
In the cage, yeah. Right.
Okay.
Take a look at some of those interviews leading up to Starrcade '85, The Gathering, especially like in September, October, November. You're going to see some of the best ones there.
All right. And then my other question, it's non-wrestling related. I've heard you, talk about your love of show tunes.
Yes.
So you watch Hamilton?
Well, I haven't watched it yet. I watched the first two songs the other night, and Lois said, "Come on, we got to go." It's over my daughter's house, and I haven't watched it yet. But I've got Disney Plus, and we did come home and we watched La La Land, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And everybody loves Hamilton. The first two songs were great. It's really going to have to be very, very special to beat Les Miserables for me. So,
of course,
yes, absolutely.
But I mean, and I know that many of the people in this room have said it. Growing up 16, 17, 18, watching Nitro, and the fact that you're back, and the fact that I get to watch things, I've got a 6 and a 9-year-old daughter, and they're not into wrestling, but I get to sit with them and say, this is the guy that Daddy watched when he was a kid. And just the fact that you're back is just, it's beyond words for me. Starstruck doesn't encompass it for me. So thank you so much for coming back for all of us. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Bubba. It's very kind of you to say that. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Is this not the coolest group of guys, Tony? Come
they're
on.
Pretty cool. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
They're all right.
Ugly as shit, but pretty cool.
We'll keep them around, I guess. Yeah. You got balls in the mouth. Where's he going?
Well, he's going to go number 1 to win.
There you go. Tony Schiavone picks up the win. Guys, there's like 100 of you and one of him, and we managed to lose. That's okay. I'm going to give this win to Aaron. And Aaron, give us a question for Mr. Schiavone.
Hey, how you doing, Tony?
Aaron, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good. So, yeah, like everybody else, I grew up a huge fan. I'm a WCW kid. I live in Arkansas, so you guys are through here 2 or 3 times a year every year.
Very
and
cool.
I got to see quite a few of your shows in person. My favorite's probably the Bash at the Beach 96, the big NWO reveal. And I was just curious, did you guys know ahead of time that Hogan was going to be the guy? And if so, were you kind of anxious about what might happen when the crowd found out? When the moment happened, did any of you guys just like have nerves or feelings of anticipation if you knew that Hulk was the guy?
Well, we had assumed that Hulk was going to be the guy, but we also knew that it was going to take a heck of an effort for them to convince him to do that. From what I understand, I don't know what the behind the scenes reports have said. I'm not sure, but we thought, I had heard so many different things. I had heard Hogan, I had heard Bret Hart, I had heard it's going to be somebody that's going to shock you, and maybe that was them telling me Hogan. So when Hogan walked out in the orange and the yellow, or the red and yellow, I wasn't certain it was still going to be him. I didn't know what they were up to, because they loved to swerve announcers back then. And so I guess the quick answer is no, I didn't know, but I assumed it was going to be Hogan. But then when he walked out in his colors, I'm thinking, what the fuck are they doing? So yeah, all the reaction was like kind of, real off the cuff and realistic.
I was always a fan of the heels anyway.
Yeah.
And I loved Diesel and Razor and WWE, although I was a WCW kid.
Right.
So I was pulling for WCW, but when Hulk came out, I remember thinking, this is pretty cool, because I was 12 when it happened, and even at 12, I can kind of, it just seemed unusual for him just to show up out of nowhere for no reason. When he came out, my family that was watching it with me just assumed he's the guy. Something big's going to happen. And then my uncle turned his face and missed the leg drop and missed the big moment. And kind of upset about that. But your reactions is what made it even more so, especially the Hulk Hogan go to hell line was hilarious.
Well, Aaron, when he walked out, another story behind that, if you may recall, maybe you guys recall, maybe you don't, Heenan took some heat about that because they think that Heenan spoiled it. But if you look at us calling it like we're supposed to call it, I'm the straight man. I'm not taking the side of the heel, and I'm excited that Hulk Hogan's coming out. Bobby Heenan's longstanding problems with Hogan means he's never trusted him. So he's saying, but whose side is he on? That's kind of what Heenan would have said about Hulk Hogan, because he didn't trust him. So I think we played it the way Tony Schiavone would have played it had Hulk Hogan came down in his colors, and the way Heenan would have played it as well. So I'm really happy I was part of that, because if you guys haven't gone back and watched that interview, you need to watch. It's one of the great heel turns of all time. It really, really is.
It was a huge deal, and I was really excited about it. And like I said, I'm a WCW kid. I'm not going to lie or be upset about it. I was never really a huge WWF fan. Because I live in the South, and WCW was kind of in a lot of way, for a lot of people in the South, especially here, WWF showed up maybe twice in the 80s and none of the 90s, really. WCW was here 2-3 times a year every year. So it was kind of the company I gravitated towards. And it wasn't Jim Ross, really, it was you that were the voice of my childhood. So thank you. This was an honor to talk to you, and
thanks,
Aaron,
Aaron,
for answering my question.
I appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for being out there, man.
All right, guys, we're going to take one last question. This person is going to win our final round, just off the chain over here. It's Jason from OHIO. Where's Jason?
Down at the bottom. He's not.
Hi there.
Hey, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Hi. How are you? How are you, Tony? How are you, Lauren?
You got the right Jason?
Oh, maybe not. I'm Jason from Ottawa, Canada. This is the wrong Jason.
Okay, there's
Jason from Ohio.
Jason from Ohio. Well, hello, Jason from Ottawa, and hello, Jason from Ohio. How you guys doing?
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Doing well. Doing well, thanks. I can ask my question later. I don't know later. I'm sorry for the wrong person. I just wanted to know your experience with working with Gorilla Monsoon when I used to watch Wrestling Challenge back in the day.
Yeah, Jason from Ottawa, one of the finest men in the wrestling business. Anything that you've read about him and heard about him is absolutely true. It's one of those guys, and no one is ever going to say anything bad about him because everybody loved him. Tremendous guy. All right. Jason from Ohio. Go ahead, buddy.
I've heard you say many times that you don't like working the boys, but in this day and age with the technology, there's never that feel of surprise because everything gets leaked out. And I think we can all agree part of the Monday Night Wars, the best part of it was that surprise. And oh my goodness, I gotta tune in next week to find out what happens. Do you think we'll ever get back to that?
No, those days are gone, buddy. It's a different business. It's a different monster. And now
the pop for Edge coming back at the Royal Rumble was huge. But could you imagine if only the people that absolutely needed to know about that knew about that, and him come through that curtain?
Yeah, you're right. It's like the first Nitro that we had when they hid Lex Luger in the backstage area. They hid him from everybody, and nobody knew he was there. And yeah, those days are gone for two reasons: because of the information age, and number three, because everybody's got a phone now, cell phone, and number three, everybody's a fucking blabbermouth. And that's the way it is. So,
and that's just what I miss about the current product and everything is the utter surprise. And every week on Nitro, okay, this week WCW's got to get one over on the NWO. Well, it didn't happen this week. I'll tune in next week.
Right. Oh yeah, the unknown. The war was on. Who were they going to get next week? Right. Rick Rude one week. Hall Nash. You know, yeah, that was what made the war what it was. Yeah. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it, buddy.
No, thank you for everything you do, Tony.
Thank you, man. Lauren, unmute yourself.
I'll figure this out one day, or they'll just kick me out of here, whatever. Tony, I want to echo what everyone else has said. You're wonderful. You've been wonderful. My entire life you've been wonderful. I pursued a degree in broadcast because of people like Tony Schiavone.
Well, thank you.
And I made nothing of myself, but I'm so happy to be here chatting with you, hanging out with you. I know all the top guys and the My Push guys feel the same way. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, everybody. You guys who didn't get a question in or didn't want to ask a question, I appreciate all of you too watching wrestling. I really, really do. We all have a common denominator, and that is we love pro wrestling, whatever form it is. If it's the old kayfabe form or it's the form that we got right now. I feel like I'm evolving with the business. I love the young bucks. I love the new stuff that we're doing. I really appreciate and love the old stuff. And I appreciate all of you being out there, and thanks for being on ad-free shows as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Guys, find us. We're at ad-free shows. He's at Tony Schiavone 24. And we are out of time for this one. Evan, you got anything to add?
I do not. Thank you very much, Tony and Lauren, and we will we'll be posting this on demand version very soon up on the site. So look for that soon.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Excellent. We'll see you at Fighter Fest, Tony.
Right. Absolutely. Wednesday night.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.